Hi guys, and welcome back to the series Thunderstorms, written and narrated by yours truly, Stacey Holt. As always, please like, subscribe, and comment and all that good jazz to support the series as well as the creator. Now, Chapter 10, The Fashion Show. Well, what should we... They heard the footsteps approaching, and Adrian jumped down from her bed, now that it was made perfectly, and opened the latch for her as the footsteps got closer. Marinette popped her head around the latch and smiled, holding 2 cups of orange juice and some breakfast in her other hand. It was almost as if she were balancing and juggling them like the people in the circus would do. "Let me help you," Adrian smiled, seeing she was struggling not to drop them. He took the 2 glasses of orange juice she stashed in between her arm and her side, and saw her get a little more comfortable as she adjusted her balance. Marinette sat the plates down on the side table and sat down, watching him do the same with the orange juice. "I'm surprised you stayed," Marinette said, taking a bite of the bacon from off of her plate. "Huh? What do you mean? We have your designs to work on. Why wouldn't I stay?" Adrian said, a little confused by her statement. You usually sneak out before I wake up, kitty." She felt her cheeks blush as she gave him Cat Noir's nickname and took another bite of her breakfast. "Oh, nah. I was just scared of my feelings for you because I still had feelings for Ladybug," Adrian said, feeling a little exposed. "It's all right, Adrian," Marinette teased. They ate their breakfast while lightly flirting back and forth, but soon to get more serious as they started working on her designs that were due that night at 5 p.m. It was currently 9:30 a.m. Adrian helped hand-stitch the best he could, while Marinette sped through the machine like a pro. How did she do that? Adrian looked down at his hand-stitching, and wasn't pleased with its outcome, though he pressed on, knowing that he needed to help her, since it was his fault she said yes to the date. Hours of work went by when Adrian finally got the courage to ask about the elephant in the room. "Your side," Adrian began, stitching as he talked. "What about it?" Marinette said, still sewing on her sewing machine, not turning her head. "Is it any better?" Adrian smiled as he finished his stitch and handed it to Marinette, who grabbed it from him and smiled. "I don't know. I haven't looked," she said, still working on her fabric. "Can we take a 10-minute break? Please?" Adrian pleaded, wishing she would so he could check on her. "I'm almost done, though. Want to go get us some lunch while I finish this up? I may be done when you get back," Marinette smiled. "Lunch? What time was it?" "Huh? It was already 3:45. How did time fly by so fast?" Adrian nodded, jumped up on the balcony, transformed, and disappeared into the streets of Paris, a little excited about surprising her with what he was going to pick up for them to eat for lunch. Marinette continued to work on her designs, really wanting everything to turn out all right. She fantasized about winning the fashion show, getting dinner with Adrian, and ending it with Cat Noir in her room that night again, watching their favorite movie together. A little while later, Cat Noir popped in with 2 bags of food. Marinette smiled and held up her designs that were now fully finished and in just the nick of time. It was about 4:15 when he had returned with the food. "Wow, Marinette, those look great. You're gonna win for sure," Cat said, his ears perked up with excitement as he sat their food down on the table. "I'm not sure about that, but I'll try my best. Oh, what did you bring us?" Marinette sat her designs down and walked over to see what he had brought. "I brought us some homemade sandwiches and fries. I didn't want us to get too full since it's so late, so I could take you to dinner after the show." Marinette could still see he was nervous about their relationship, and they hadn't made it official that they were dating. She wanted to date him, but she wouldn't push the subject. She would let him ask her when he felt ready. "I would love that, Cat Noir," Marinette said, smiling, kissing his cheek as she passed him to sit down to eat lunch. His face turned red with a smile growing on his face as his hand touched where she had kissed. His heart fluttered as he sat down, grabbing the food out of the bag and laid it out on the table. As they ate, Cat Noir's eyes kept shifting down to her side that was hurt. It bothered him. He wanted to know if it was healing or not. He wanted to make it better. He wanted her to feel better. What? Do I have something on my shirt? Marinette laughed, seeing his eyes keep drifting to a single spot. Then it clicked. Oh, you're still worried about that bruise, aren't you? Cat Noir sat his sandwich down and nodded. Marinette sighed and sat her own sandwich down and lifted her shirt for him to see. She also wanted to see if it had healed any as well. Cat Noir gasped as he looked at her side. The dark black and purple bruise from the night before wasn't there. It vanished. What? It's gone, Cat said, cautiously leaning to touch her side. Marinette braced for impact, but felt his soft touch. No pain. Cat looked at her worried, but then happy as he realized he wasn't hurting her by touching her side. Maybe the effects took a little longer? Marinette laughed, putting her shirt back down. Marinette screamed. Cat Noir had jumped to his feet and picked her up, hugging her, extremely happy. You felt that guilty? Marinette asked as she pushed herself away so he would put her down. Yeah, I did. I felt terrible about getting you hurt, he confessed, letting her down. Cat Noir smiled, looking down at Marinette. He closed his eyes and wanted to lean down to kiss her, but as their lips were about to touch, Marinette heard her phone alarm begin to beep. Marinette smiled and touched his lips with her finger to stop him from kissing her, almost tempting him to want more. She grabbed her phone off the chaise that they were sitting on while eating and saw that it was her alarm. She looked at the time and gasped. It was now 4:45. They had 15 minutes to get all the way across Paris. Ah, we're gonna be late! Marinette screamed, running to her desk to grab all of her fabrics and umbrella that she designed and saw Cat smirking. What? How come you aren't freaking out? Doesn't your father expect you to be there too? Marinette said, trying to hold everything. Yeah, he does, but you have an escort. I can just take us there, princess. Cat smiled devilishly, giving a wink to imply that he would carry her. Marinette grabbed a small bag and put everything into it, wrapped it around her, and walked over to Cat Noir. He jumped up onto the balcony, helping her up the ladder. They saw the lights of the street starting to click on as the sun began to set. Cat Noir led her to the balcony edge and lifted her up in his arms, letting her wrap her arms around his neck. Cat Noir pounced around the building tops and they made it just in time to see everyone starting to set up their designs on mannequins if they couldn't get a model. Cat Noir de-transformed, and Marinette handed him her bag, smiling as he dashed off to change. As Marinette watched Adrian run off into a changing room, she felt a sharp pain shoot through her side. She grabbed her side, and the pain faded a few seconds later. Are you really all right? Tiki asked, peeking out from her side purse. I'm fine, Tiki. Don't worry. Marinette laughed nervously. Adrian came back, walking proud and confident in his new attire. Marinette's face lit up bright red as the fabric and designs she made fit him like a glove. She always dreamed of Adrian wearing her outfits, but felt breathless when she actually saw them on him. What do you think? Am I a good model for your designs? Adrian smiled. You're perfect. They're perfect, Marinette said, blushing while smiling. Adrian let out a laugh that made Marinette laugh as well, but a little embarrassed. Adrian wrapped his arm over Marinette's shoulder and leaned into her ear. You've got this, Bugaboo. Be confident in your designs. They are perfect. Adrian chuckled. Adrian, your Cat Noir is showing. Marinette rolled her eyes and pushed him off of her shoulder. The judges started making their way and inspecting each contestant's designs. With each passing minute, the more nervous Marinette felt. Adrian couldn't comfort Marinette, as he was the model for her designs and had a specific place to stand on stage to show it off. The only thing he could do to help her feel better is to model them the best he could. They finally made their way to Adrian Agreste, featuring the designs of Marinette Dupanchang. He had this. He wore people's designs all the time. How was this any different? Oh, yeah. They were his love's designs. This was bad. She made him nervous, and her freaking out on the sidelines only just increased that nervousness. He swallowed, trying to mentally calm himself down. Adrian Agreste, who are you representing this evening? One of the officiants asked. I am modeling for Marinette Dupanchang, the cover designer of Jagged Stone, Adrian smiled, trying to boost her up a little in the process. Marinette threw her hands over her eyes, dreading to see how they would react to what he was wearing. Just like in her sketches, he wore the designs with pride. The judges scribbled down information and proceeded to leave to go on to the next contestant. Adrian stepped off of his section of the stage to go into another back room. Marinette watched him enter a room and followed him back there. She wanted to know what they had said. She wanted to know what they had said. She wanted to know what he said. She needed to know what happened. She opened the door, and it clicked shut behind her. Turning her head, she found Adrian half-dressed in the dressing room. His face was shocked and red, his shirt taken off, just barely hanging on by his arms, looking right at her. Both of their faces red, and their eyes looking at one another. Thank you so much for watching. The next chapter will be out soon. Again, if you'd like to stay up to date, go ahead and hit that notification button, and I'll see you in the next chapter. Again, not changing the ending, just because I'm a rebel. I don't know. I just don't feel like it, and it sounds like a really good outro. Just don't feel like it. If you haven't heard my other series, Melting, I would suggest you go check that out. I know the sound quality isn't that good. I listen to it and I kind of cringe at the sound quality, but the story's alright in my opinion. I really like Thunderstorms a lot better, and I really think the quality of Thunderstorms is a lot better, just because my mic is a lot better, although I did drop it today, but we're not going to talk about that. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next chapter. Bye guys!